Good morning, this is Heather Hoffman, and today I have a card to share using another one of the stamp sets. It's a new release from the July 2018 release. It's called Mod Floral Stack, and there's 4 different sizes of just a symmetrical leaf design. It's kind of a fun sketchy design, and I've picked a rainbow of Reverse Confetti dye inks. And I've got all my images and my sentiment already on some clear blocks. You don't have to do that ahead of time, but I happen to have several clear blocks, so this made it easy for me to start. So I'm starting with the largest size, and I stamped that one in grape soda ink. And then I'm going to move to the next smallest size, and I'm going to stamp with baby blue dye ink. And notice I'm overlapping a little. This just kind of gives a fun effect because the colors kind of start to blend together. And then I'm going to add that same size again, stamping with lime green this time. And I'm making sure I'm cleaning my stamp between each color just so I don't have any color transference between the two. Next up, I'm going to go to the next smallest size, and I'm moving on to buttercup dye ink and tangerine dye ink. So the first one I only did once, and then each of the next sizes I'm going to stamp 2 times. Just to blend down from largest to smallest. I had an uneven number of colors I chose, so I couldn't do them all in equal amount. Next up, I did salsa ink, and now I'm going to do piggy bank ink, but red dye ink is kind of notorious for being hard to clean off. So I cleaned my stamp really well with a damp cloth, and then I'm just stamping it off a few times, and notice how it just kind of fades out the last remnants of the red there. It's just kind of a quick way I found to quickly get rid of the last remnants of the red. That kind of can mar the color of the next one. I haven't really found very many red dye inks that don't do that, so that's a good quick way. I'm going to add my sentiment underneath with midnight ink. Since it was a brand new stamp, I stamped it on my scrap paper just to make sure I had it fully inked up and I hadn't missed any little spots or anything before I stamped it on my finished panel. This panel of white cardstock I've already trimmed to a slightly smaller width than my A2 card base. I left it longer just so I didn't have to try and line up my whole stack of the leaves. I could center it after I'd finished stamping all of them, but it's already the right width. See, just slightly smaller, so it's 5.5 inches tall now, and I think I had trimmed it down to about 3 1/4 before. Now I'm going to pull out a little bit of pattern paper, the rainbow stripe edge from the new the Confetti 6x6 paper pad. I'm being a little bit of a hoarder with this paper because I love all the bright colors so much. So instead of filling the entire panel, I've just cut off some thin strips. It's a good way to kind of stretch that pattern paper. Since only a tiny bit's going to be peeking out of the sides, I didn't need to waste the whole entire piece just on this one card. And I'm just going to adhere it, make sure and line up the stripes if you do it this way. You don't want to reverse them and have them not symmetrical. You can trim this part with scissors. I like to use my paper trimmer just to get a straight edge. If you have a paper trimmer that's easy to line up. Otherwise, just some little detail scissors makes it really easy to trim that off. Now at this point I could adhere it straight onto my card base, but I wanted to add a tiny bit of dimension. So I keep some strips of fun foam kind of set aside and handy. It's a good way to add a good solid base of dimension without having to add a bunch of foam dots or use up your roll of foam adhesive really quick. This it's not self-adhesive. I just use my ATG tape runner to quickly adhere it onto my card base. Make sure and line it up at the top to get it even, and then adhere it down. And there you have a fun, simple, quick card. I have a couple others that I made as well. This one I stamped the largest one twice instead of the top one twice. I ended up liking the smaller one, and then that one I just used the largest, and it's a little more overlapped and kind of more of a sketchy feel, but I kind of like how it came out too. So it's a fun way to play with different ways of doing that. Thanks so much for coming by. Have a great day.